Jerry, you want to turn your video on?
Go down one, you get halfway up, but run out of sea. Like here to.
Jerry,
What you mean?
Chairman, I'll catch you at the break for our customer handshake. I apologize.
Okay, no
I got a little
problem.
sidetracked.
That's a nice jacket. I like that.
Oh, this thing, you know what it is? It's sweatpants. Sweatpant material. It's stretchy. Yeah, it's weird.
Miami Vice look.
My Florida roots, yeah.
Okay. I'd like to call the work session of the Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order. Stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hutchinson. Commissioner Engler.
Here.
Here.
Marino.
Here,
Commissioner Sweeney. Commissioner Embry. Commissioner Hope.
Here.
All present except for Commissioner Sweeney, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Commissioner Sweeney did make sure that we all knew that he couldn't be here this evening. So next up would be approval of the agenda. We'll start out with general public comments under presentations and special reports. We have Maureen Eke from the Human Resources Committee. And then the Administrative Controller report. And we have several appointments to boards and commissions, and then committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Finance Administration is all set, Mr. Chairman.
And Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Criminal Justice County Affairs Committee is, I think we're set, Mr. Chairman. Committee was,
Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
we're all, Resources and Public Works Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And we have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrator controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have another opportunity for general public comment and then announcements and then adjournment. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Support Elazinski.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. This down to general public comment. General public comments.
Everyone, I am Clarissa Philhart, a resident of Wise Township. I have been working on election integrity with some of the other residents of Isabella County and have been met with resistance from some of our public officials. So to outline, we have found that our public records that are recorded by the state, the Bureau of Elections specifically, has been altered to record a second voter identification number for everyone that we've researched. Additionally, our public records have a time in which we vote, and the state has sent a record back 0 timestamp, which indicates a midnight voting time. So in trying to seek evidence from our public officials through FOIA requests, have been given denials to our requests for electronic poll book data that would be our corroborating evidence. We are filing complaints against the Secretary of State and the Michigan Bureau of Elections for fraud and misrepresentation of our data. And so we're coming to the commission to make you aware that we have been denied by public officials and that we're going to request some action from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Delegate Ray McCall of Wise Township also. I am going to read you the certified certificate of non-existence that was sent to us by Mindy Lux, your county clerk. After attempting to locate the following, a printed copy of the EP book history for 2022 November election from all Isabel County precincts, which should be on the current thumb drive, was denied. A single also denied. Presentation of the unredacted EPB history from all Isabel County precincts is required under the 22-month law for the state and federal elections, Federal Code 52 USC, was also denied. Mindy Lux. Her reasoning for this was a January 17, 2023 memorandum. And on it, it states, under e-poll book laptops and flash drives, the e-poll book software and associated files must be deleted from all devices by the 7th calendar day following the final canvass and certification of the election to December 5th, 2022, unless a petition for a recount has been filed and the recount has not been completed. A post-election audit is planned, but has not yet been completed, or the deletion of the data has been stayed by an order of the court or the Secretary of State. What she failed to realize was the very next line states the e-poll book history paper printout has already been printed, produced, and secured on election night. That was not done by the county. It also says in there they're required to keep it for 22 months right here. When they said it did not exist, we then went to our townships and we got the remarks section from the township and paperwork we asked for. It does exist. The county does have it for Wise Township and for every other township in this county. We are requesting that you inform them that this denial cannot happen because they do have it. They're claiming it does not exist, yet right here it is. In this paperwork, if you look on page 2, I was voter number 60, and my voter ID does not match the one from the township, nor the county, nor the state. That is all I have. I'll let someone else speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Russ Hyde. I'm precinct delegate from precinct 2 in Mount Pleasant. And I've FOIA'd and requested some information to verify that everything is working as it should. I'm an IT professional. I work in databases. I understand systems. And I'm just looking to clear up the confusion. And it would be very easy if the Board of Elections would just cooperate and just give us everything we're looking for, because in this system, what you voted for in your precinct, your township, your county, and your state should all completely match. If they do not match, we need to be asking why. And this is where you come in. Are any of you familiar with the doctrine of the lesser magistrate? Okay. The doctrine of lesser magistrate says if somebody higher up the chain has done something unlawful, and we believe they have by denying us our FOIA requests, it falls on the quote lesser magistrate, the one that is closer to us, to stand up for us and get that rectified. And I believe the Bureau of Elections could very easily clear this up by giving us our FOIA requests. We can see that they all match, except that what we have gotten does not match. So it begs the question, why aren't we allowed to see all of it and to get that clarified? Worst case, there's fraud. Best case, someone screwed up and we are entitled to find out what happened. That's why we're deferring to you to help us to overcome these obstacles that they've given to us. I thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fountain. I also, are gonna piggyback with what they're talking about. I have a letter here, a correspondence from, Lori Bourbonneau, I want to say Bourbonnaise. She is Lori is the director of the Michigan Bureau of Elections and is a correspondence from her, requesting, recent FOIA requests. And this is starts with clerks. We are aware that clerks have received a request for the following. One, electronic copy of the qualified voter file extract for the precincts completed on Monday, November 7th, 22, and loaded the electronic poll books. Two, the historical electronic poll book flash drive for the voting precincts in the jurisdiction for the election concluding November 8th, 22. Says for the CVS. And three, electronic copy of the qualified voter file extract for the precincts completed as soon as November midterm election voter history is uploaded to the qualified voter file, which must be within 7 days pursuant to MCL 168813. Before responding to these FOIA requests, you should consult with your city township attorney regarding the requests and exemptions for that may apply, including those contained in MCL 15243. Under FOIA, you may shield sensitive information from disclosure. Clerks must not release data or files that would reveal the software design or data architecture of the electronic poll book, as doing so could compromise the Bureau of Elections' ability to secure and safeguard the software and data from hacking, theft, loss, and destruction. In response to previous FOIA requests regarding EPB data, the Bureau of Elections has not disclosed these records because the records sought constitute cybersecurity plans, assessments, or vulnerabilities that exempt from disclosure. The Bureau has an interest in maximizing the protection and defense of its information systems, which outweighs the public interest in disclosure of the information, as the release of the sensitive information could jeopardize the security of Michigan's electoral process, MCL 15243. In addition, the responsive records include sensitive information which, if released, would disclose a person's cybersecurity plans or cybersecurity related practices, procedures, methods, results, organizational information systems, infrastructure, hardware, and software. Further, electronic poll book files contain personal identifying information for birth dates or voters, which is exempt from disclosure, MCL 168509. Attempted manual redaction of personal identifying information may not be sufficient to protect this information from disclosure if software and program files are disclosed. Please note that certain specific data derived from the qualified voter file electronic poll book is subject to disclosure under FOIA, including the list of registered voters from the qualified voters file and the paper printout of the electronic poll book generated on election night. If members of the public are interested in verifying the names of individuals registered to the vote on a certain date or include the electronic poll book, they may obtain this information by submitting a FOIA for publicly, oh my gosh, at available records. Additionally, we are aware that clerks receive FOIA requests for the copy or opportunity to view tabulator tapes. While the tapes were public record that can be provided, they are election records and should remain secured until security is released after the final canvass and certification recounts and audits. Once you are notified, the security has been released to you, your jurisdiction, you could fulfill these requests. And that's from her. And then there's one more. I don't know how much time I have left, but clerks and election directors. We are aware that clerks have recently received additional requests for e-poll book data. Requests for e-poll book data must be directed to the Bureau to ensure that sensitive information related to both individual voters and EPB are removed before public disclosures of otherwise available information, as stated in our November 14th, 22 email. And clerks must not publicly release data or files and would reveal any software design or data architecture of the e-poll books. As doing so could compromise the Bureau of Elections and to secure and safeguard the software and data from hacking, theft, loss, and destruction. The request file contained proprietary software information, security feature information, and personal identifiable information for voters. This disclosure is security and technical information is exempt from FOIA. It may not be properly redacted if the file is produced an individual clerk instead of Bureau. Additionally, the file contains sensitive information regarding your e-poll book laptops that might require your purchase a new laptop for each precinct if you disclose this information to a third party. The disclosure of sensitive information compromised the integrity in Michigan's election may be warranted referral to investigation. You receive FOIA request for e-poll book and a requester can be directed to the county clerk for paper poll copies or the log file voter history. That was from her. So thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Linda Richardson. I'm a delegate in Broomfield Township. I have a letter here from Michael J. Brady, Chief Legal Director, Michigan Department of State, to Mindy B. Lux, the clerk. Just going to read a portion of this. It says, please understand that the disclosure of this sensitive information compromises the integrity of Michigan's elections and may warrant an investigation by the Department of State or Department of Attorney General. The result in fiscal implications for the county. Specifically, disclosure could require the purchase of new EPB laptops for each precinct for which data is compromised. Also, I have here United States Code 52 states the following. 20701, retention and preservation of records and papers by officers of elections, deposit and custodian penalty for violation. Every officer of election shall retain and preserve for a period of 22 months from the date of general, special, or primary election for each candidate for the office of president, vice president, presidential elector, member of a Senate, member of a House of Representative, or resident commissioner from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico or are voted for all records and papers which come into his possession relating to any application, registration, payment of poll tax or other acts requisite to voting in such elections, except that when required by law, such records and papers may be delivered to another officer of election, and except that if a state or Commonwealth of Puerto Rico designates a custodian to retain and preserve these records and papers at a specific place, and such records and papers may be deposited with such custodian, and the duty to retain and preserve any record or paper so deposited shall devolve upon such custodian. Any officer of election or custodian who willfully fails to comply with this section shall be fined not more than 1,000 or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Kim Fox. I'm a precinct delegate in Sherman Township. I'm here. I thank you. And I'm here as well. I've had the same discrepancies and whatnot that the rest of us had in my voter file. I came up from Springfield Township in 2015, and it still showed Sherman as my area of jurisdiction. It showed my wife moving up here in 2013, and 2 months later, she moved back to Clarkston, and then she moved back up here. So there's glitches and discrepancies where I'm going with this. And so if there's that many, and you're hearing the other people talk, is there any other further ones for us? And that's all we're trying to do is get this information. We're not looking for the sensitive or other information that could be taken out of the report. We're just looking to try to see, if there's any problems there, or if it is, as Russ said, just bad computer techniques. We've gone to our township boards asking for this to be done, and they're deferring back to the Secretary of State and the Board of Elections and the attorney that says, follow this guideline. And also been to the sheriff's office, many of us, and filed a complaint that way. So we're going through the legal options that we have, and that's again why we're here. This directive or referendum from the Secretary of State Board of Elections is really placing our clerks in harm of losing their job or following the orders or losing their job. And I don't really think that's right, because our Constitution says the power comes from the people up, not from the corporate kind of way of from the follow my lead at the corporate level or you get fired. So it just, I don't understand why we can't get this information. We're not asking anything beyond what we're legally entitled to, but they still seem to resist us. And how do we know if our elections have integrity unless we get this information and compare it? Like Russ said, I don't know if there's a problem or there isn't, but this would help us determine that. And I guess that's it. I will just off your county, the FOIA, it says that, the county recognizes the legal obligation to disclose all non-exempt public records in its possession. It says, and this is why we're coming here, we've probably exhausted many of our options. So it says we come to the county commissioner, and Ms. Frost, you are the coordinator by what I read. And so we'll be filing that written request so that you guys can see what we're getting. If you need any further information, I'm sure any of us or all of us will provide that for you if you need further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for general public comment? Michelle, I don't think we have anyone online, do we? Yep. Okay. Next up would be presentations and special reports, and we have with us tonight Maureen Eke from the Human Rights Committee.
I'm gonna turn off my phone so that it doesn't ring. Because I can hear it. Oh. Give you a first from. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, really getting confused there, thinking I know I gave it to you. Okay, cool, excellent. Okay, good evening, everyone. I am Maureen Aki, and I am Chair of the Isabella County Human Rights Committee. I am also a professor of English at Central Michigan University and a city commissioner. A lot of heart, head stuff. Okay, so I know some of you and some of you I don't know. So I am happy to be here today, and hopefully I will get to know I am going to talk about the Human Rights Committee. So on what I have handed you, first of all, I have handed you 2 items. The large one is a study of microaggressions that we conducted several years ago. We have stacks of them in the admin office. So if you ever want them, please feel free to contact us through the admin office or through our web, through our email. The rack card is what we call a rack card. It just simply tells you who we are and what we do and how to get hold of us. I'm going to try and make this as concise as possible. So please be patient with me. I will welcome questions at the end. So first of all, question here, does anybody here understand that they do have human rights? Yes? Do you know what your human rights are? Why do you have human rights? Well, yeah. Okay. You have human rights because you're humans. Because you're human beings. Because every human being has the right to dignity and the preservation of their lives. So no one has the right to take away your life just because they want to, or to stop you from living your life just because it pleases them. There is what we call the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It was a set of acts created in 1948. They all come into existence in 1948 in response to the world wars, particularly the experience of the Holocaust. And what many people don't know is the role of the United States in constructing those articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Does anybody here know how many articles there are? Hey, go. How many?
5? Nope.
That's 10, 20, 30 articles. There's a link on our website that will take you to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What is important is the role of the United Nations in creating those set of rights. And they go from your rights as human being, your rights as a citizen of particular states, your rights in terms of voting,
your rights to education, a whole range of rights, the rights of children, the rights of women, the rights of citizens, the rights of refugees, the rights of immigrants, people's rights. And so as part of our responsibility as members of the Isabella County Human Rights Committee, our central task is to make sure that these rights are preserved for all the people who live in this particular county. We hope that we can do that. Okay, so now what's interesting about the construction, the creation of those rights is that people don't realize, a lot of people do not realize how much of the US Constitution is in those rights. Yes. So all those people who wail about the United Nations trying to take over the world and the United States, the United Nations, the US Constitution, including the Declaration of Independence, yes, they go into those rights. So they have documents from various nations, the French Declaration of the Rights of Man, British Declaration, pieces of the religious text that a number of us refer to. So there is coverage of your religious rights too, people's religious rights too, the preservation of those rights. But what is central about the protection of human rights is that it recognizes the absolute right of every individual. You all have rights because you are human beings. You have rights and dignity. The very first article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights focuses on that. And for us, that is central in the work that we do, in the work that the Isabella County Human Rights Committee does. So that people who don't know about us, please, we want you to understand we are not a political organization. We don't care about your politics. We are not partisan. This is not a partisan group. We are focused on the protection and preservation of the rights of people who live in this county. So we deal with all sorts of issues. So the RAC card that I gave you is one that hopefully you can use if you do need to talk to us. So, which is why we have here, motto is that we are protecting your rights. We are also not a police force. We are not law enforcement, although we work with law enforcement people, okay? All right, currently, this is our membership. Our membership is representative of the communities around us. There are people from townships and different organizations or institutions in the county. As you can see, I come from Central Michigan University, and then there are people representing the public schools, the tribe. We have a liaison from the board, Commissioner Steve Sweeney, who is not here today. And then we have members at large, and you can see them, Hunter Birch, Sarjit Chowdhury, Laura Gonzalez, Danny McQuarters, Amy Pashbacker, who is also the mayor of the city of Mount Pleasant, Philip Mikus, and Nicole Hagel. So these are members. Some of them you know, I don't know who you know, but these are. We do have subcommittees. Currently, we have 3 subcommittees, 3 working subcommittees. Community Education Committee, we do a lot of community outreach where we make presentations to different organizations and entities in that community. We have a law enforcement subcommittee. We work because we work with law enforcement. There is, in order to safeguard the rights of individuals, we have to work with law enforcement because law enforcement people also help safeguard those rights. So We do have a law enforcement subcommittee that if we have concerns or questions that have to do with policies, for instance, or, structures or, issues dealing with law enforcement, either in the community or actually in the nation, that may have impact, on our community, we work with the law enforcement subcommittee then meets. And so far, we've been doing a lot of work with Director Paul Loria, who is the director of Department of Public Safety of the city of Mount Pleasant. And then we have the Disability Subcommittee. So here is our history. We're established in 2008 by this body here. And in fact, it sort of emerged out of what used to be the ADA committee, and then some members of that committee then joined, became part of the Human Rights Committee. And our primary function in terms of our charge is to review and recommend actions on issues and concerns related to the violations of human rights in the county, not in the city of Mount Pleasant only, but in the county. Okay, what are human rights? You responded earlier, but this is from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It says these are rights that are inalienable. They cannot be alienated from you. In other words, they cannot be taken away from you just because somebody doesn't like you. So, summed up in Article 1, as I said earlier, all human beings are born free and equal. That article emphasizes that. Free and equal in dignity and rights. Yes. It doesn't say some people are more equal than others, as in George Orwell's 1984. Nobody can wake up and say, I have more dignity and more rights than you. Absolutely not. According to this, we all have the same rights. We are all born free. So somebody said, because God gave those to us or to you. If that's comforting, yes. Some people might say, because you are human beings. So however you define that, that's okay with us. Okay, so because you are human beings, you have these rights. The right to move around without somebody trying to knock you down or run you over because they don't like the color of your hair. You have rights because we are all born free and equal with dignity and rights. Everything else comes after all of these. It's important that this is the first article. It's very short, and the rest of the items then line up behind all of these. And so all the other articles aim to support this particular one, which is the central piece, which is the very first one. So what we do, we therefore do a lot of work in terms of programming and education in the county to enhance positive relationship amongst diverse members of the community. And when I say diverse, and I'm not talking primarily about race, because each time some people hear diverse or diversity, they go, oh, it's race. No, absolutely not. It goes beyond race. Remember what I said about that first article? It didn't say race. It said all human beings. We serve as a liaison between the county and other local diversity and minority organizations. Yes, that's important too, because there are groups in the county that are not represented in a lot of places. So we therefore serve as liaison in talking with them, and we bring that information back to the commission when we report, to the commission, and we share that information. So you have we have an incident report form that delineates things that we cover. The incident report form is important because we are a human rights committee, therefore, we ask people to report to us if they believe that their human rights have been violated in any way. We've had reports from people who have claimed that some businesses have treated them badly. We've had reports about complaints about housing. We've had complaints about accommodation. So we deal with all of those things. And so the incidents report form is also on our website, and it simply states that anyone in Isabella County who believes that she or he or they have been discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, color, national origin, age, sex, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identification, height, familial status, weight, or disability status may file a formal incident report with the Human Rights Committee. And we do investigate, by the way. Okay. So we try to address people's concerns. We also monitor actions at both local governmental level and also residential level. So yeah, we've actually had a situation where we had to investigate, a complaint filed by, a member of this particular body against the body itself, at least certain members of the body. Because again, regardless of your status, we have to look at that. It doesn't say that because you're an elected official or that you're the mayor or, the president of an organization, we cannot look at complaints filed, but against you, claiming that you have violated somebody's rights. So we've done that too. And then we provide, the reports to the county commissioners, okay? And then of course we do this annual report that I'm doing now. We collect data on acts of discrimination or harassment within the county. And this is where the law enforcement subcommittee comes in. There was a point when we did some prison study. We studied that, but then we had to stop because we didn't have enough data. The data wasn't coming, as we had expected. But we also, as I mentioned earlier, work with the director of the Department of Public Safety of the city of Mount Pleasant, and we've worked with him to update certain policies that they have to make sure that those policies recognize, these issues that are of interest, mutual interest, to us. Because if we don't have these kinds of problems, they will save him a lot of headache, right? Okay. And so we share the analysis of the data that we get with the commissioners and the public, and we generally recommend, some action. So here we are. Basically, what we try to do is to stay in touch with community organizations and agencies, and then, make them aware of our presence. We do presentations before them also. And then we also, also to alert them to the fact that we exist as a resource for them. Okay, we're not unique. Okay, just saying, we are not unique, but here are some in this state. These are just some, there are more. There's one in Traverse City, Kalamazoo, Ingham County, where I used to live, Grand Rapids, East Lansing, Genesee County, and Arbor. Yeah, we are not unique, but we are doing what other people are doing to make sure that residents in these places feel safe, right? Everybody's secure. Okay, so some of the things that we have done, we've done some really interesting, undertaking some interesting initiatives. One of them is the study on microaggression. I gave you, some of you have copies. It's, the document, the huge document. Yeah. So you have a lot of reading to do. And, I'll send Commissioner Hope a form quizzing you on what you read. Okay. All right. So you may, ask what microaggressions are. Okay, so just very briefly, microaggressions are small acts of biases that people engage in. Sometimes they do them deliberately, they engage in them deliberately. Sometimes they don't know that they're engaged in microaggressions, right? And so because they, do this, and the people who experience microaggression experience them all the time, those acts become harmful. They become very, very hurtful, okay? So yes, and as I said, they are invisible acts, and sometimes they are visible, all right? It's like, for instance, you have expertise in a field, right? And then they decide to bring in somebody who is going to interview in that field, in that area where you have expertise, knowing that you are the person who understands this field, but they've set up this interview and sort of forgotten you. They go in to do the interview, and then you see, you find out and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? I am the expert in this field. Nobody talked to me. Oh, sorry. We didn't think about it. Just, you notice that? Really? Huh? You really didn't think about it. What's going on? You forgot that I exist, or you forgot that I even know the subject. Okay, that's a really easy one. Then there are even much more complicated ones. I chose this one because this one is not going to annoy anybody, but I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Okay. So yes, and so if those acts continue all the time, or somebody says to you, you are the senior manager in an area, and each day when you come in, somebody says, oh yeah, could you please just get the dust bin and pick up the dust over here? By the way, because what? You're a woman, senior manager, but somebody comes in, says to you, okay, so you see, and then we look at that and go, oh, wow, it's funny. It's not funny, ha ha. It's funny, really painful, but it happens all the time, Okay, it could happen to anybody. Microaggressions happen. They can be racially based, they can be gender based, they can have, have something to do with age, height, all those social identities that we mentioned earlier in the RAC card. They can have something to do with any one of those, but they are hurtful because they happen over and over and over. And sometimes the people engaged in these acts don't realize that those acts are hurtful. They may say, oh, I'm just being funny. I'm just being sarcastic. No, you're not being sarcastic, right? You're not being funny about this. Okay, so, but in this case, the one that we studied has to do with the experiences of Native Americans in the county. And so that's why that study is focused. It's also because we got 2% funding from the tribe to do this particular study, just to focus on what the tribe, tribal members, have been experiencing. The other reason had to do with the fact that we do have a tribal representative, but we were also hearing from tribal members who were telling us that they were experiencing a lot of hostilities in the community. And we wanted to find out what those hostilities look like, and so we interviewed 100 tribal members who gave us a lot of material that we then pulled together, analyzed, and put the reports together. And that's what you have there. We have a smaller version of that. If you want that, let me know. The complete report right now, the data is housed at the Zebra Wing Center, in case you want to see that. And then later on, we received some funding for the second phase of the study to then begin to do presentations on this study to agencies and, organizations and, groups in the community. And, one of the groups we presented to was the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, because they were hosting an engagement here to celebrate their 50th anniversary. So these are some of the presentations that we have made. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights, as I mentioned, Michigan Commission on Aging, I have a missing G, and spell check, terrible. Central Michigan University's Academic Senate, CMU's presidents, senior officers. We did several CMU soup and substance. We presented to the tribal council, the tribal college, and a number of CMU residential halls. And then, as I've mentioned several times, we have been engaging in a long-standing relationship with the director of the Department of Public Safety at, of the city of Mount Pleasant. He attends our meetings actually each month. We also did a disability study to look at the stop signs, the bus stop, stop, for the ICTC bus stops. Yeah, we did a number of those and found out that there were problems with some of them, and then, addressed those. We have collaborated with the Michigan Roundtable on Diversity and Inclusion to talk about, to look at hate crimes and responses to hate crimes. We've also collaborated with the Isabella County Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion in the past. And, and then other things that we have done is, we have a student internship program. We've, written articles addressing urgent issues in the community. A few years ago, there were a number of issues. We had complaints from people talking about Confederate flags, in the community being flown in certain places, or being, some people complained about them in their areas, and how, frightening, how concerned they were. And so we, did an op-ed in the Morning Sun to talk about what it represents for some people. And of course, in a way, for those people, that's also microaggression. If for them, somebody living directly opposite you has, depending on who you are, if you're a Black person or a Jewish person, the Confederate flag is not a good sign, especially in front, posted right in front of your house. So just, I'm just pointing out why we had to do that. And then we've also investigated several human rights violations related to housing and accommodation. The last one we did was last year, involving somebody living at Wademan, who had written to us to talk about, the violation of human rights by their landlord, and we did that investigation. So we've worked with some community groups, to support human rights ordinances in the city, and also in the county. In the past, we have participated in the International Human Rights Conference at CMU, and then collaborated with particular groups, student organizations, to host town halls, like the Muslim Students Organization at CMU. In fact, they contacted us because they were worried at a certain point about the Muslim ban, and also about, biases and, hostile experiences some of them had, received. So we did this town hall that actually it was really well received because a lot of people turned out, you know, to, and then we participate in CMU's Martin Luther King's Day activities. And here are some more here. I'm just gonna let you know. One of the things that's coming up is the honoring, healing, and remembering. This is sponsored or hosted by the Saginaw Chippewa tribe. I hope people know about that. And it is every June 6th. And it has to do with honoring, healing, and remembering the boarding school experience. So I don't know how many people here know that we had an Indian boarding school in this community of, yeah. So, okay, people died there, okay? And the experience of the boarding school for Native Americans is a historical trauma. And some people, you know, are still going through it, are experiencing it generations later. So this particular event was established by the tribe to recognize that particular act, and also in a way to heal and, you know, not to forget, you know, that this happened, and to honor those who, you know, went through it and who also died as a result of that. So we participate in that. And this year it will be June 6th, yes.
And is that where they do the walk from?
Yes, the walk from, yes,
school.
yes. Yeah, to the school at
Mount Pleasant Center,
what was that?
Mount Pleasant Center.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant Center off Picard. Behind it, you know, they do a morning a sunrise service, which is at the back on Bember, that they have some graves there of the kids who died in that boarding school. So they do that, and then they move to the structures that are still left there. Okay, so and then they do this. Okay, so I hope you're able to go this year. If you know, I'm almost done. So I am almost done. So in order, you know, these are some of the things that we do in order to, you know, reach our goals. We do a lot of presentations, we do workshops, we have open forums, we have book conversations. We have been doing a lot of book conversations, and then we sponsor an annual peace event. And this takes place either on the weekend or the week around the United Nations International Peace Day, which is, you know, September 21st every year. So this year it will be September 23rd, Saturday, September 23rd at Island Park. And this is co-sponsored by the city, with the city of Mount Pleasant. So this is one of our collaborative events. Okay. So we hope that you would come. You'll eventually get some flyers and information about this. And of course, hopefully through all these things we have, you know, we hopefully will gain more visibility in the community. Some of the challenges we face have to do with resolving the you know, cases of the incidents that we investigate. We are a committee. We don't, you know, we're like what is it? A toothless bulldog, right? We don't bite. Yeah, we just bark, do a lot of barking and scare, you know, instead of going like, ah, but you know, so we leave all of that responsibility in terms of resolving or addressing those issues with the commission, because our charge doesn't include that. We can't file cases in court. We can't take people to court. We cannot sort of say, okay, because you did this, or we found that you have violated, you know, these rights, this is, you know, what we're charging you with. But we do file reports. So in a way, it is a flaw with the body itself, because we just, you know, we hear cases, we investigate, we, you know, put together the reports. And sometimes people come back and say to us, then what? You know, they want to be made whole. And the challenge for us is figuring out how to make them whole. We don't have that capacity. Funding has been a problem, although today I'm a bit happy that our funding, you know, there's some kind of massaging of our budget. So I'm kind of happy about that. And then, of course, ADA issues come up from time to time. Part of it has to do with, ADA grandfathering, of some businesses. And so we can't really change those. And this is where the commission comes in. The county itself, you commissioner is where you come in. Okay, so, if you're interested, what can we do for you? If you have businesses or if you have organizations that you want us to come talk to, make them aware of, alert them on what rights they have or human rights issues, or talk with them or provide some training, please feel free to contact us. We are able to do those. And of course, training on microaggression, especially because no unit can say that it may not have people who have engaged in microaggressions. And that's because people don't know when they're doing that, okay? So feel free, to let us know. We can at least make people aware of what they look like so that people can work towards, making sure that they don't hurt people unintentionally. And then this is how you get to us. Oops. All right, I am done. Questions? No?
I just have one comment.
You're happy?
It's.
Commissioner Hope?
Isabella County a safe and welcoming place for all people. And kind of the amazing thing about Isabella County, they're one of the amazing things is that we have people come from all over the world. And if we can make them feel safe and welcome here, we're gonna be so much better off. And I guess not just those folks, but the folks that are already here.
Yeah.
Well, so we appreciate your all of your work in that regard.
Thank you. And we appreciate the support that you have given us. You come to our meetings.
Yeah.
Yes, we're happy to
Yeah,
see.
it's good work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. We're happy to see you. Commissioner Moreno has come to our meetings too.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maureen.
All right, okay.
Okay, next up is Isabella County Administrator Controller report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just have a few things I want to relay to the board. We do have a tentative date for the 2% distribution meeting this year. It looks like next Tuesday, May 23rd. We don't have committees next Tuesday morning, so hopefully your schedule allows. Commissioners, you're certainly welcome to attend. Usually that's a 10 a.m. event. The date is just tentative, so once we have details, we'll send that out, but certainly want to extend the invitation for the commissioners to attend that function. Very, very hopeful that we've been fortunate in their spring 2% grant distribution of the tribe. You may be familiar, last week I attended the Michigan Recycling Coalition Conference. Commissioners Marino and Engler also attended, as of course did our MRF Director, Jake Borton. Thank you, commissioners, for attending. We were so well represented there, and we were called out for our representation there and being ready and positioned well to accept the Part 115 changes and hopefully move forward with the feasibility study at the MRF and the automation, bringing on hopefully regional partners. So certainly had a lot of discussion about those possibilities at conference, even some meetings with some funders, gap funders. It's amazing that the environment right now for recycling dollars, not only locally, but federally, Director Borton did work with the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe recently to apply for a Swiffer grant, federal dollars that were only available to tribes. The tribe, I think, could apply for up to 1.5 million. They had a few $100,000 of items that would be appropriate for them to apply for, and the rest they offered up basically for us to apply for the MRF. So we've applied for a baler and some equipment that, regardless of what way we go with the MRF rehabilitation, this equipment will be useful. Another grant that Jake is working on, him and also Charity Suite Operations Manager at the MRF, working on an Eagle infrastructure grant. That's $1 million of funding from the state potentially, and looking at expanding the tipping floor at the MRF. $10,000, I think it's, or 10,000 square foot expansion. That will be critical to the operation regardless of what happens for expansion. So some grant opportunities are really smart and position us well if we do make changes, but aren't a waste if we don't make the full changes. Right? Murphy Ad Hoc Committee did meet last Friday, and I think only the second meeting.
Okay.
And already has a recommendation that will be coming forward to the board. Basically, their recommendation is that the feasibility phase 1 in the feasibility study for the MRF be implemented, go forward. And so I did print out, and in front of you are copies out of the feasibility study, what's involved with phase 1. Obviously a lot of talking with, potential partners, looking at hauler contracts, getting those aligned, educate. So that you'll see that recommendation coming forward to you. In terms of the jail project, I do want to send our deepest condolences to Integrated Architecture. They had a recent loss of an employee, Melissa Edwards Muma. She was working on the jail project, and there's just our deepest sympathies. Very unexpected loss of that employee for Integrated. Eagle is still reviewing the sanitary permit on the project. There's been some staff turnover at Eagle, and that is delaying their review. We have reached out to them, and we're hopeful that they can come up with a means to expedite that review. Speaking of staff turnover, I do have to announce another loss of the administration team. Accountant Chris Whitmer is leaving us to go to the city of Mount Pleasant. Her last day will be next Friday. So as you know, administration staff is already stressed with the departure of Ms. Latosky. So we will be bringing on an accountant through Account Temps, the organization Robert Half, to help with the current accounting workload. And Chris had also taken on some of Emma's duties, since Emma left too. So we do have a contract currently in place with Robert Half. We have used them in the past, and that does allow us a 25% savings. So we're excited about that, because as you can imagine, these type of fill-in staff don't come cheap, right? We are also looking at supplemental assistance, perhaps with Maynard Casterison. It won't necessarily be Steve Karinovic. He is still, available to us, but it will probably not be him on staff, but an accountant through their firm. The accountant through Robert Half, it's kind of eye-opening. The only reason we were able to tap into that resource is because we were willing to go solely remote. If we were not willing to take him on remotely, they had no one for us. If we were willing to say, yes, we'll take a remote accountant, that opened up the geography for us, and to where commuting wouldn't work. So that resource from Robert Half will be remote. Fortunately, COVID has taught us how to work remotely. That it's a bit of a challenge, but we do also need that body in the office. So here comes a whole lot of opportunity to sort through it and figure it out, but certainly wanted to let you know of that impending change. Are there any questions for me? Okay. Tonight? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is appointments to boards and commissions. The first one, item A, is consider appointing one member to the BOC advisory board as three representative to complete a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2023, or until a successor is appointed. The applicant there is Kristen Lalonde. Ms. Lalonde's been very involved with a lot of activity. And we appreciate her. Okay. Little technical difficulty there. That's better. Anybody want to say anything about that before we move on? Yes, sir.
I had a question for Administrator Frost in that it's a District 3 seat for the Commission on Aging, and Kristen lives in District 5, but apparently the bylaws, and I missed that when the presentation was made at a prior meeting, that if a seat goes unfilled, it can be assigned at large. So that's why a District 5 rep is going into a District 3 seat.
Right, and we do have other vacancies on that board, I believe, that we could fill in that same manner. So if people are interested in that Commission on Aging Advisory Board, but aren't in the particular district, I know my district, District 7, they've been looking for a representative for quite some time on that. So we can fill those as at-large representatives, and thank you for bringing that up. The next item would be consider appointing one member to the Isabella County Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors to complete a 6-year term ending July 1st, 2027, or until a successor is appointed. And the applicant is Nicholas Marsh, I'm sorry. Marsh was with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation for 5 years and has a BA in economics from Kalamazoo College.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say I was really impressed with his experience and knowledge. I think it would be a really good asset to the board, to the committee or whatever.
Absolutely. The next one then is consider appointing one member to the Isabella County Human Rights Committee as an at-large representative to complete a 3-year term ending September 1st, 2023, or until a successor is appointed. And that applicant is Donna Giuliani. And we just learned about all the wonderful things the Human Rights Committee is doing. But Ms. Giuliani has an MA in sociology from CMU and is a news editorial journalism and sociology, also from CMU. So very well qualified applicant there as well. The next one, item D, consider appointing one member to the Veterans Affairs Committee for a 4-year term ending June 1st, 2027, or until a successor is appointed. That applicant is incumbent Susan Garrett, who is a Navy veteran and a Ferris State University alum. And on her application, she states, "I will continue to bring passion and empathy to our veteran community, meeting and listening to what is available in our county." So we're thankful for her participation. And if there's no comments on any of those appointments, we'll keep moving on. Finance and Administration Committee.
Before I continue, Mr. Chairman, just maybe a point of order. I know we're not going to be able to get through this agenda in another 15 minutes. We're going to have to start the other meeting late, or most of these we're kind of familiar with. Do we want to just kind of minimize the discussion now and just maybe expand on it during the regular meeting? If you have any thoughts on that. I guess we shortened our meeting one day too soon.
Yeah, I think we kind of expected that some meetings will take a little longer and that we'll be starting that regular session a little bit later to
Okay.
follow the work session. So
Well, our only item of business is consider ratifying and placing on file the April 28th, 2023 invoice list in the amount of $254,337.30. The May 5th, 2023 invoice list, the amount of $2,017,068.82. And the adjustment list dated May 11th, 2023. Looking at the first invoice list, April 28th. If you go through this, I mean, there's snow plowing. Most of these are very regular billings, except for the snow plowing. We only do that in the winter, and I guess we make our final payments when the snow quits falling. But any questions on the April 28th list? Moving on to the May 5th list. Again, these are, very customary type of cost. The one big dog on the porch is Clark Construction Company. It's the April construction charges for the jail project, and that's $1,557,453.52. I guess I don't have any questions on any of the other bills. Anybody else have questions or comments? Our committee is going to move this on real quick. I think the next committee is going to stall a little bit. Moving on to the adjustment list. We have the usual early payments for savings or avoid late fees. Don't really see anything on the adjustment list that I think I need to comment on. Anybody else? Questions, comments? With that, Mr. Chairman, then we'll move this to the tonight's meeting.
thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Next up is Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll try to make this fairly quick since I was in Kalamazoo when we had our meeting, so carries on here, yes. So first up, we have consider these are programs we have seen before, so consider approving the submission of the fiscal year 2024 adult treatment court grant application in the amount of $161,757.44. This is a big increase from last year's. We received 70,000, so there's some extra opportunities. Let me see, we have Carrie Curtis, and we also have Kate Mitchell, who is the coordinator for the adult drug court. So I guess, Kate, would you like to explain? Sorry, I couldn't be at your, hopefully we won't redo any discussions we had.
Absolutely, no problem. I'm Kate Mitchell, and I'm the Adult Drug Court Coordinator. I know most of you know about the program. It's an intensive treatment-based program for individuals that were charged with some sort of a drug or alcohol-related offense. Yes, last year we did receive $70,000. I think we asked for around $146,000 last year, and we're awarded 70, and we've made that work, although it's been difficult. This year we are asking for $161,000. Couple different reasons for that. Before, we were averaging 18 or 19 individuals in the program, had kind of been our average the past few years. We have 25 right now. So that many more people really cost a lot more. It costs more for drug testing. It costs more for incentives, and everything across the board is more. So we're asking for more money this year to help cover that. A difference this year is previously, we only applied for the grant through State Court Administrative Office. This year, they've combined that grant with 2 federal grants that SCA oversees. So it would be applying for all 3 grants. So we're hoping that between the 3, we might be able to get some more money in this year to help cover the cost of the program.
I know
So-
every year seems to be our grant dollars keep going down because there's more people applying for it. So
Mhm.
the bigger pot will be able to get an increase from last year.
I really hope so.
So is there any questions on this? It's been a program we've been doing since, I believe, 2003. So it's seen it quite a few years. So. Okay, see no questions. We'll move this forward to tonight's business session. Next, we have consider the submission of the fiscal year 2024 juvenile treatment quote grant application in the amount of $105,980.12. And I believe, do we have Maria on here?
Maria is not here, so I'm gonna be Maria for a minute.
So a little bit of what did we receive last year, 92,000.
Correct.
Program's been in effect since 2006, so.
Right, so the only change to the application this year is we've increased it a bit more for some salaries and fringe potential changes. Increased cost of screening tools, drug testing. We want to add a few more incentives and rewards, and then of course the annual registration for the conference. Other than that, this is identical to last year.
Okay, like I said, we've seen this every year. Is there any questions for Carrie? Seeing no questions, we'll move this forward. Next up, we have consider approving the submission of the fiscal year 2024 Swift Insure Sanction Program grant application in the amount of $223,500. And the coordinator is Carolyn Johnson, but I'm sure Carolyn is on here, so I just see her there. So last year we were awarded 213,000. And this program, I believe, has been 211, and it's to deal with some of the harder probation cases, I believe. Carolyn?
Yes, that is correct. We are a sanctions-based program, and we currently have, I think, 24 in our program. And we're dealing with the probationers that have been unsuccessful and struggle with just general terms of probation. So last year we asked for 213,000 and we got 213,000, so that was great. This year we're asking for the 223.5, and that would cover the coordinator and case manager salaries and fringes, as well as drug testing supplies, jail housing, and our drug testing fees. So that is what we are looking at.
Okay, is there any questions? Like I said, this program we've been supporting for years now, so nothing new, just the amounts have been seem to be a little different. So seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight's business session. Next up is considering the fiscal year 2023 Community Correction Grant Agreement Change Notice 1 between the Department of Corrections and the Isabel County in the amount of 95,000 and an increase of 20,000 to the total authorized budget, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. So let me see, is Andrew Foster the coordinator here, or Carrie, you gonna handle this?
Andy's here. He's not on.
Don't
It
see
says
him on-
he's here anyway. So I'll just take it, and if he hops back on, I think he might have a baseball game going on or something as well. So so what we have an opportunity to do is start this opiate meth program that we are applying for grant funds to start in the next fiscal year. We have an opportunity to start it this year. It's in conjunction with TRICAP And what it will do is provide an intensive, it's not inpatient because it's not a secure facility, but it's a treatment program through TRICAP where participants live there. And it helps them recover from their addiction, as well as learn life skills, employment, counseling. A lot of the costs are covered through TRICAP, but this $20,000 that we're able to get from the state will cover the counseling costs, an assessment. There's group and individual counseling in there. So basically the offender will have absolutely no cost to the program. We can cover it all between TRICAP and these grant funds. So it's a great opportunity for us to start this with a small number of people yet this year. So we're very excited about that.
Great. Any questions? It kind of, thought I was a sleepy one tonight, but seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight. And the next item is kind of connected with that. So this is consider approving the agreement for service between Isabella County on behalf of the Isabella County Community Correction Advisory Board and the SMB Probation Center, Tri-County Community Education Program, effective May 16th, 2023 until September 30th, 2023, in the amount of $20,000, and authorized board chair to sign the same. And I guess it's connected with what our last program.
Right, we're just required to have a contract for the services with the county and the program and TRICAP. So this is just the follow-up to that.
Okay, any more questions? Seeing none, we'll move that forward to tonight's meeting. And Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Commissioner, we'll move right along to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item is consider converting the vacant Isabella County Commission on Aging part-time homemaker aide position to a part-time personal respite care aide position. And we have Jennifer Crawford, our Director on Aging, here to give us background on this. Good morning. Hi.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have had a vacant homemaker aide position this fiscal year. We've just been evaluating to see what we need. And we definitely are seeing an increase in the need for services within our personal care, respite care programs. Our personal care, the aides go into the home, they provide, they help with showering, bathing and getting dressed, any type of movement, light care to the clients. And with our respite care program, that actually just provides respite or a break to the caregivers. As our population is aging, we're finding a lot that we're having an increase in the amount of caregivers in our community. And so they need help. They're asking for help. And so our aides, they're trained, so they're able to go in and actually care for the individual so that the caregiver can feel comforted knowing that they're in good hands and can either, some do a golf league or some go take a nap or go shopping, whatever it is that they need to do to have some time for themselves. We did fill our caregiver trainer position this January. And so with that, we've been able to reach a lot more people, those caregivers. And so I think that's why we're definitely seeing an increase in the need. And by making this switch from our homemaker aide position to a personal care respite care aide, we'll be able to actually get rid of the wait list that we've actually created because we have a higher need than what we're able to do right now. And then also if there happens to be a shift later down the road and we have a higher need for homemaking, those personal care respite care aides can actually do the homemaking services because they have more experience and more training where it couldn't be vice versa. So by making the switch, it's we're going to be able to serve those that are in need right now. And I think it'll be beneficial on the long road. And as far as the cost, it's about $2,400, just a little over that. By not having the position filled this year, we're able to absorb that cost. So there's not a need for an amendment. So I just think this would be the best move for our organization and for those that we care for.
Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, we'll put that on this evening's agenda.
Here, next item, consider approving the proposal from JBS Contracting
Incorporated in the amount of $466,549 for the Commission on Aging Pavilion Project and authorize the board chair to sign budget amendment number 2023-10.
And so finally, we're finally able to bring this to
Right.
you and we're ready and we're in a great position to be able to make this happen. And so we're really excited. We did do our request for proposals, JBS Contracting submitted a great bid. And just the package in itself is everything that we're looking for and wanting in this. Now it's not just a pavilion, now it's our pavilion and recreation area. In the past, it was just a pavilion that we were going to build. We've shortened the pavilion a little bit, so it is just dedicated to a true pavilion. And then on the one side of it, we're going to have a pickleball court, and on the back side of it, we'll have a shuffleboard court with sidewalks in between, so folks can be sitting under the pavilion and watching. It'll be just so wonderful. The pavilion also will have 2 restrooms and then a little storage space in the back for us to be able to store supplies and everything that we definitely need to fill it with. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy with the bid from JBS. And I think if you've seen the past, I can bring the old rendering out. The look is the same. It's going to be beautiful. It's real in line with our building, our facility here. So the color schemes, it's a beautiful structure, and I think it will just complement everything that we have here. And it will be a really great opportunity for us to provide more opportunities outside for folks who come here every day.
Yeah, and then the project, it's taken a few years now, but actually come in less than what it was before.
Yes, yeah. So a couple of years ago, and I requested a bid, thinking that we were able to do it then, not knowing all the hoops that we have to jump through with construction. I've learned so much now. Yeah, the price, it's more than 30,000 less than they had given us a couple of years ago. So that's exciting. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, it's gonna be so nice to have outdoor space, be able to have events out there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Be
it's gonna be
wonderful.
great,
Wonderful.
possibly. Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll move that on to the next meeting.
Then our next item is consider approving the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Agreement Addendum F, COVID-19 premium pay for non-residential settings effective October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So this addendum that you have before you, this is the same thing that we've had for the last few years. This is for our in-home aides. So it's that $2.35 an hour premium pay that is in addition to their normal salary. So this was extended through this entire fiscal year. So it's through fiscal year 23. So it does end September 30th. They have had us doing this since the fiscal year started. So every month we've been since October, we turn in the units to them. We've been getting reimbursed. So the contract itself or the addendum just came late. So it is just coming now. So now this is the formality of getting that signed. But our staff, they have been receiving that premium pay this fiscal year. So it is it's great for them. You know, it's been a great thing since the pandemic. So right now we have 9 staff who do receive this premium pay. If we do fill that, hopefully if this position changes and we get a personal care aide in there, that would be the 10th position that would benefit from this.
Great. Any questions or comments on this item? Seeing here.
What's that?
Yeah, it is. It's gone.
Very much so. I'm nervous about that. Yeah.
Okay, this will be on our regular meetings agenda, and that completes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Jen. We have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. Brings us down to general public comments.
Hey, everybody, Connie B. Phillips, Union Township. I just wanted to let you all know, maybe you all already know, we got unqualified, approval from our auditor for our audit.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
And we're doing pretty well fiscally, but, I just really wanted to say thanks for the book, Bill, you know what, we pick them all. And on another note, I think we're talking about the voting. I really think that, my vote counts. And I never had a problem seeing it after I've been voting. So I don't think it's a problem there for me anyway. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for the opportunity. I do very much appreciate that you allow citizens to speak before and after, because we're nervous in front of you and sometimes we get to say things. So I appreciate that very much. I just want to thank you for your due diligence and being our representative and listening to us. We appreciate that very much. I didn't specify exactly how my background with databases. So I work at a large sporting goods retailer, which means that we have to work with the ATF, if you've heard of them. And they're very, very, very excruciatingly picky with their data. And what I want to point to you, what we found in our records was a 0 time stamp, meaning we voted at midnight. I guarantee that if we had shown a gun buyer that bought a gun at midnight, there would be lots of questions. Reason there'd be lots of questions. Store's not open. And why are you not keeping accurate records? This is a request. Something is fishy. And that's what we're just trying to find out what's going on. When we're asking for accountability from our elected officials, it is hard. And it is tough. None of us really like being held accountable. Is that true? And since we don't like being held accountable, sometimes our defenses go up and our hackles go up. But you know what? We live in a constitutional republic. And we have the system of checks and balances. And the executive branch, we have the legislative branch, and we have the county boards, which you are on, and you are a check to this FOIA request that was denied to us. I want to read to you the request that was made and help you to understand that none of the stuff that the denial specified was even requested. So I'll take a few minutes to do this. Lisa had to leave. This is her request that she gave. Dear Clerk Lux and Deputy Clerk Nelson, please find herein a request by me, the City of Mount Pleasant, clerk other ballot along with her response in the form of the denial. I have included clerk ballot in this email. That's the part. Please skip the forward part. Please advise that if your office is able to provide the flash drive contents of that information for all City of Mount Pleasant voting jurisdictions with the date of May 2nd, 2023, the specific nature of the data is related to the EPB public records, which include but are not limited to voter identification number, voter's name, voter's number, voter's ballot number, ballot type, whether it's AV or in person, date, time, school jurisdiction code, and the precinct. In recognition, and this is the part I want to point out, that she specifically said in the FOIA request, in recognition of the personal nature of a portion of the EPB data, please redact those items that are exempt from disclosure per MCL 168.509 GG. That's what I read to you earlier. Okay, such as driver's license number and birthday. Additionally, I have no interest in the software infrastructure or coding related to creating these EPB files. Therefore, be advised that I only desire what I outlined above numbers 1 through 8. She requested a comma delimited file, CSV file that would contain the information. There's no software that doesn't. Any hacking, you can't gather how to hack the system from that. So we're very confused as to why we're being denied something that we didn't request. And that's why we're asking you, we'll be making a formal, written statement to you, hoping that you would help us to overturn what's wrong that, the Board of Elections and the Secretary of State have given to us. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any-
Thank you. Anyone else for general public comment? And seeing no one else, announcements, commissioners, have any announcements? I just have a couple. Administrator Frost mentioned the 2% distribution tentatively planned for next Tuesday. I would encourage all of you to attend that if possible. It's a nice event to go to. Also, the Council of Governments meets tomorrow night at the county building, room 320, I think. I cannot be there, and Commissioner Hutchinson probably cannot be there either. Since we have a granddaughter who's graduating tomorrow night. But any other commissioners, if you can make that, I would strongly encourage that as well. So that's all I have. Anyone else have any announcements? I think between this work session and the regular session, we'll take about a 10-minute break. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Jelazinski.
Support Marino.
And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7:11 PM. Yep.